Have you ever felt unexplainable heaviness in your home? Perhaps tensions rise without reason, sleep becomes disturbed, or financial struggles appear mysteriously. What if I told you that the very item you believe brings spiritual protection might actually be causing these disruptions? Stay with me until the end as I reveal Padre Pio's urgent warning about certain prayer beads that could be affecting your home right now. And most importantly, how to restore peace and divine protection to your family. Sarah from Ohio wrote to us last week with a remarkable testimony. For months, her once peaceful household experienced increasing discord. Her teenage son suffered persistent nightmares. Her husband's normally gentle demeanor transformed into irritability. Their finances inexplicably improved despite no change in income. I prayed more intensely than ever, Sarah shared, but it felt like my prayers hit an invisible barrier. The answer came through wisdom from Saint Padre Pio and centered on something millions of faithful people keep in their homes without a second thought. What Sarah discovered through Padre Pio's teachings transformed her home completely. And in the next few minutes, I'll share exactly what she learned. This information is so important for your spiritual well-being that I ask you to click the like button right now and subscribe to our channel. Your simple action helps more people discover this crucial spiritual guidance that could protect countless families. In today's complex spiritual landscape, many unwittingly welcome influences into their homes through objects they believe offer divine protection. The most concerning aspect, these influences operate subtly, gradually eroding peace, harmony, and spiritual connection until we find ourselves in a situation we cannot explain. Padre Pio observed this phenomenon repeatedly during his decades of spiritual ministry. One devotional item, in particular, caught his attention because of its central role in spiritual practice. Prayer beads, many uses daily for devotion. To understand Padre Pio's insights about prayer beads, we must first understand his extraordinary spiritual sensitivity. Born Francesco Forgione in 1887, Padre Pio became one of the most spiritually gifted individuals of the 20th century. From 1918 until his passing in 1968, he bore visible wounds corresponding to Christ's suffering, a phenomenon that medical science could not explain. Less known but equally significant was his ability to read souls and perceive spiritual influences affecting individuals and objects. Numerous documented accounts from those he guided spiritually describe his immediate recognition of objects carrying inappropriate spiritual associations. Father Alessio Parente, who served as Padre Pio's personal assistant for many years, recorded multiple instances where the saint refused to bless certain items brought by pilgrims. He would sometimes visibly pull back, Father Alessio noted, and request the object be removed from his presence. This wasn't superstition. It reflected a profound understanding of how physical objects can carry spiritual significance, a concept firmly rooted in traditional sacramental theology. Religious traditions widely recognize that blessed objects, when approached with proper faith and intention, can prepare us to receive grace and dispose us to cooperate with it. By extension, objects created or used with contrary intentions might have different influences. Throughout spiritual traditions, colors carry specific symbolic meanings in worship and devotional items. Dark colors traditionally represent mourning, penance, and solemnity. Red symbolizes sacrifice, dedication, and passion. Multicolored items often represent universality or the diversity of spiritual gifts. What concerned Padre Pio wasn't these traditional meanings, but rather how these colors might be used for purposes contrary to authentic devotion. The first category that raised his concern was completely dark-colored prayer beads. While dark beads have legitimate uses in tradition, particularly during periods of mourning or penitential seasons, Padre Pio noticed that some dark beads, especially those acquired from non-religious sources, carried troubling associations. In one documented case from 1957, a woman from Naples consulted Padre Pio about persistent spiritual disturbances in her home. During their conversation, he unexpectedly asked, "The dark beads hanging near your bedroom window?" Startled, she confirmed possessing an antique dark prayer chain displayed as a decorative item. When pressed about its origin, she admitted purchasing it from an antique dealer who acquired it from an estate sale of an uncertain background. Padre Pio explained that this particular devotional item had been used in ceremonies mixing traditional prayers with invocations to other entities. He recommended replacing it with a properly blessed prayer chain from a reputable religious source. Within weeks, the woman reported a complete transformation in her home's atmosphere. If you're finding this information valuable for your spiritual protection, please take a moment to type Amen in the comments section below. Your comment might help someone else discover this important message who needs spiritual guidance right now. Also, please remember to keep watching until the end, as I'll share the third and most concerning type of prayer beads that Padre Pio warned about, a type that has become increasingly common in homes today. The second category involves certain deep red prayer beads. Again, red itself has profound legitimate significance in spiritual tradition. However, Padre Pio distinguished between appropriate liturgical red and what he described as blood red beads, associated with rituals focusing on blood pacts or sacrificial practices outside traditional Christian devotion. Father Pellegrino Funicelli, another of Padre Pio's close associates, documented the case of a family experiencing unusual discord after receiving an inherited red prayer chain. Their home, previously peaceful, became characterized by constant irritability and emotional distance. During a visit to San Giovanni Rotondo, Padre Pio immediately inquired about the red chain with the unusual cross. After learning of its questionable origin, he recommended having it properly evaluated by their spiritual advisor. The third category, most relevant in today's context, involved syncretistic prayer beads, incorporating elements from multiple spiritual traditions. These hybrid devotional items, combining traditional prayers with symbols, materials, or intentions from incompatible spiritual systems, represented what Padre Pio called spiritual confusion. In our era of mass production and spiritual eclecticism, these hybrid prayer items have become increasingly common. Some incorporate crystals claimed to have specific energetic properties, symbols from various world religions, or elements meant to ward off negative influences. While often marketed as spiritually inclusive, these objects can create what one of Padre Pio's spiritual directions recorded him describing as static in the spiritual channel of prayer. How might the presence of spiritually problematic prayer beads manifest in your life? According to accounts from those who consulted Padre Pio, several patterns emerged. First, many reported an unexplained resistance to prayer, a feeling of swimming upstream whenever attempting to establish a consistent prayer routine. This wasn't a mere distraction, but a persistent spiritual dryness, specifically associated with prayer in proximity to these objects. Second, home environments often exhibited escalating tension without clear external causes. Relationships previously characterized by harmony would develop patterns of irritability, miscommunication, and emotional distance that couldn't be attributed to normal life stresses. Third, sleep disturbances frequently occurred, particularly manifestations of the same or similar nightmares among household members. Padre Pio explained that during sleep, our conscious defenses are lowered, making us more receptive to subtle spiritual influences. Fourth, financial stability sometimes became mysteriously compromised. Unexpected expenses, lost opportunities, or resources that seemed to slip through fingers without explanation could, in some cases, correlate with these spiritual disruptions. Fifth, and most tellingly, children and animals, whom Padre Pio considered more spiritually sensitive than adults, often reacted first. Children might exhibit unexplained fears of specific rooms or objects, while pets might avoid certain areas of the home altogether. Dr. Enrico Medi, a physicist and close confidant of Padre Pio, who documented many of his spiritual insights, noted that these effects typically developed gradually rather than suddenly. The disruption rarely announces itself dramatically, he wrote. Instead, it builds incrementally until the home environment feels fundamentally altered. How can you determine whether devotional items in your home support or hinder your spiritual well-being? Padre Pio offered several indicators for discernment. Consider the origin. Prayer beads from unknown sources, especially those found in second-hand shops, flea markets, or gifted by individuals with unclear spiritual affiliations, deserve scrutiny. Notice your prayer experience. Authentic blessed items typically bring peace and focus to prayer. If you experience unusual distraction or spiritual dryness, specifically when using particular prayer beads, this might indicate interference. Examine unusual modifications to traditional design, particularly those incorporating elements from non-traditional sources or seemingly arbitrary symbols that deviate from established religious iconography. Consider the physical materials. While prayer beads can be made from various substances, those incorporating materials specifically associated with practices contrary to traditional faith warrant careful evaluation. Most importantly, pay attention to the effects on your home environment. The true purpose of devotional items is to enhance spiritual connection and peace. If a specific object seems associated with discord rather than harmony, this deserves attention. If you've identified potentially problematic prayer beads in your home, Padre Pio's guidance offers a balanced approach, combining spiritual discernment with practical action. Spiritual traditions provide clear protocols for blessed objects. The first step is consulting a knowledgeable spiritual advisor who can evaluate the item from both theological and spiritual perspectives. This isn't about fear, but about ensuring devotional objects fulfill their intended purpose. For prayer beads with unclear origins but no obviously troubling features, a simple blessing by a spiritual leader often suffices. This reconsecrates the object for sacred use, essentially resetting its spiritual purpose. Most spiritual advisors can perform this blessing after worship services or during scheduled office hours. For items that trigger genuine spiritual discomfort or possess clearly problematic elements, tradition offers a different protocol. These should be properly disposed of through specific prayers and actions. The proper way to dispose of blessed items that cannot be repurposed involves returning them to the elements, typically through burning or burying after appropriate prayers. Prevention is equally important. When acquiring new prayer beads, consider 3 criteria emphasized in Padre Pio's counsel: proper source, proper blessing, and proper intention. Purchase devotional items only from reputable religious suppliers, worship center gift shops, established religious bookstores, or directly from spiritual communities. Have them blessed before use and approach them with reverence rather than as decorative or fashion accessories. Padre Pio particularly recommended prayer beads made by contemplative religious communities. These items, crafted in environments of continuous prayer, carry what he called the blessing of their origin, created specifically for authentic spiritual use. Beyond addressing individual objects, Padre Pio offered guidance for establishing overall spiritual harmony in your home. First, consider having your home blessed by a spiritual leader. This traditional practice dedicates your living space to divine protection and establishes it as a place of peace and prayer. Second, establish a dedicated prayer corner with properly blessed religious items. This creates a focal point for family prayer and symbolizes the centrality of faith in your home life. Third, maintain regular family prayer, particularly using prayer beads as intended. Padre Pio emphasized that the spiritual protection offered by blessed items depends not on the objects themselves, but on the faith and devotion they inspire. Fourth, use blessed water regularly. This simple blessed element, when used with faith, reinforces your home's spiritual protection. Many families keep a small container of blessed water near entrances for this purpose. Fifth, cultivate discernment in what you bring into your home. In our consumer culture, we often acquire objects without considering their spiritual implications. Developing thoughtful awareness about the items that surround you contributes significantly to a harmonious home environment. Throughout his teaching on this subject, Padre Pio emphasized a crucial distinction. Authentic spiritual discernment differs fundamentally from superstition. The former recognizes divine primacy and our responsibility to use wisdom in spiritual matters. The latter attributes inappropriate power to objects themselves. No object, regardless of its history, has power greater than divine grace, he frequently reminded spiritual seekers. Even items with troubling histories remain just those objects without inherent power to harm those who place their trust in the divine. The concern isn't that problematic prayer beads possess some inherent mystical danger, but rather that they can create confusion and distraction in our spiritual lives, precisely the opposite of their intended purpose. Dr. Francesco Festa, who documented many of Padre Pio's spiritual counsels, recorded this insight. The saint's concern was always that devotional objects should enhance rather than hinder our direct relationship with the divine. When they become distractions or sources of spiritual confusion, they no longer serve their purpose. As we conclude this exploration of Padre Pio's teaching on prayer beads, I invite you to conduct a thoughtful inventory of your own devotional items. This isn't an exercise in fear, but in mindful spiritual stewardship. Consider each religious object in your home. Do you know its origin? Has it been properly blessed? Does it enhance your prayer life and contribute to your home's spiritual harmony? Remember that ultimate protection comes not from objects themselves, but from sincere faith and devotion. Prayer beads, when used properly, serve as a powerful tool for connecting with the divine through prayer, but their efficacy flows from the intentions of the heart, not from the beads themselves. In today's world of mass-produced religious items and commercialized spirituality, Padre Pio's wisdom reminds us to approach devotional objects with informed reverence rather than casual familiarity. By doing so, we honor their true purpose, drawing us closer to the divine through authentic prayer and faithful practice. If this message has blessed you today, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue sharing these vital spiritual insights with others who need them. Also, if you know someone who might benefit from this knowledge, please share this video with them. May your home be filled with divine peace, your prayers rise unhindered, and your devotional items serve their true spiritual purpose in your journey of faith. Thank you for reading, and may blessings be upon you until we meet again in our next video.